We're going to say the prayer on page number 10.
It's 10 o'clock.
Chanjo bando dane gyazonje daye jenzonje ve sonamje rola pancher sanje romarsho sanje jedan sonje jonamla Chanjo bando dane yazunje daye jenzonje ve sonamje rola benje sanje rovarsho sanje chedan sonje chonamla Chanjo bardo dane yazunje daye jenzo jeve sonanje rola panzer sanje romarsho semjen tangje deva dan deve jodan dambar jerji semjen tangje dunga dan dunga jeje andawar jerji semjen tangje dunga lebe deva dan mendawar jerji semjen tangje nirang chadang nidang rave danyo la nivar jerji semjen tangje deva dang deve jedang dambar jerji semjen tangje dunga jeje dang dawar jerji semjen tangje dunga mebe deva dang merawar jerji semjen tangje nirang chadang nidang rave danyo la nivar jerji Sanje bije shishan me to tam rira nanje nyete jangade Sanje shando me de gawayi Rogo nando shanga jogara sho idam gurora namendala jame yadaya. In English, on page number 11, I take refuge in the Guru, I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, I take refuge in the Sangha. From now until my enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. and by the merit created in this practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and causes. May all sentient beings never be separated from joyfulness. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment, and anger. This ground, anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, Mount New, encircled by 4 continents, surmounted by the sun and the moon, I visualize this Buddha flowing offering. May all living beings enjoy the pure land. Ida Guru Rana Mandala Pameyadaya Amen.
뜻이 동수라.
콜라지라는
그리고 딴 가서 검자해지라.
로마도
남지 있는 것들이.
Good morning. Thank you for joining me in this cyber space and Dharma practice, a Dharma discussion for today. Today's discussion. We will begin our today's discussion like we did it before, meaning that we're going to recite the Arya Tara's mantra and then meditate, practice meditation on the Arya Tara. No.
Yeah. 아까 좀 전에 마음 같은 노래.
No, so. Let's continue our today's conversation and where we left last time.
심기반의 전도실 양도적 비상증도 시송은 대위 모으지던 바로 뜻인 바 특정 심전라티니 기와당 네와당 공의 페어를 쉐바당 대터나 조위 대상집 심기사와 샴형지 양위된 심질기와 랑기 모남 심전라티니 종위 리우 성기접비 제초 탐질 심전라티니 ngomber zober sangi ni tenji hendrib jim chapi thenlekyang donsha il semchen la teni jongte norna thwa chambo jindri thamchil chang zawa semchen chiurn zamba te ta chunchu chamo longzu da mki semchen ta na yang da ta nya la teni da sangi yitan jeroshi zhangshang shabi chiki ta o to part chosma
Please go to your translation page 52. Toward the end of the page, Oh yeah. So like we read last time, the quotes from Maitreya Asanga's ornament for clear realization, the Abhisamaya Alankara says, generating the awakening mind is the desire for completely perfected full awakening for others' sake. The four ways of amazing disciple: giving, speaking pleasantly, teaching, and acting in accordance with the teachings, and the six transcending perfections: generosity, ethics, patience, altruism, meditative stability, and discriminating intelligence, are also developed in dependence upon sentient beings, as is abiding in and repeatedly enhancing the awakening mind. Therefore, we can see that the basis of our conduct, the source of the awakening mind, love and compassion, the basis of the practice, the generation of the altruistic mind, and the essence of our own training arise in dependence upon sentient beings. The accumulation of all manner of causes for accomplishing the fruits of Buddhahood depends upon sentient beings. Even after the highest attainment of complete awakening, the perfect of the practice of enlightened activity, which comes about in a unbroken stream, arises in dependence upon the sentient beings, for whom it is done. Essentially, at the root of everything in the great vehicle, the causes and the fruit result is concern for sentient beings. As the guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life says, whenever I turn my gaze upon a sentient being, thinking, I shall fully awaken through depending upon these beings. I should look at her with open-hearted love.
Samjipan的人都是杨道总被相信多，所有能把你写过的，能把你我这个是让，甚至他们之间都总被相信就光把都不写不写罢了，能把你当的嘛，都把你有的，都把当过的，甚至他们就我们做不上，甚至他们就另外的做个人，另外当把用过的对用过那个对用我写罢了，对那个机会对机会写罢了，当我们做不上嘛，你那的你话用过嘛的。我们的确的我们做上一个人是那么牛的了，那么牛的甚至呢，这当呢，工作上甚至呢是，短短上甚至，那做不上一就光碰头吧，那这个是我工作不是，那甚至，中国呢，我做这个，那我他们这认为多这个错了的，他们这个工作比那我了，工作比那我得到了，天天的养鸡。工作被养殖经历，等你这相当养殖了，说吧，经历做老没法去用说，但对了做老没法呢，对嘞，他们那么这个么这个当中咱的说的怕咱的说呢，我对有的对，那我的他们这个别呢，上级就官方就跟他们这个别各家这个用我都或者在这个啥，我对你他话这个托巴这个，当不让你托巴这里托别端的，你人了等这里，托不是因上面上路去了，他上级想去。上去参是过，上去参得了呢，工作上去参都是你写过的，真的的，让他们别上去的，上级就光放他们别上去的，都上去的，甚至他们这，第三把当养鸡跟你让别上去的呢，工作上去参的是真的，真的我的这是了解的，真的我的利用我是过了。
Okay. Here we needed to understand the basic feature or the characteristic of bodhicitta. In other words, the awakening mind. This awakening mind is marked by two unique aspirations or the qualities. So these two aspirations are essentially like stated by Asanga in Abhisamaya Alankara, or the ornaments for clear realization. Generating the awakening mind is the desire for completely perfected full awakening for others' sake. So here it talks about the awakening, the perfectly, completely and perfected full awakening. So that completely perfected full awakening mind, when you look at it closely, you will see, and essentially that has two unique aspects, or marked by two unique features. Here I call the desire, and actually is the aspiration. So desire, aspiration is synonym in this particular context. So aspiration, first, the number one aspiration is that whoever and upon realize that all sentient beings are experiencing a tremendous suffering, and then generated a strong aspiration, the determination, the very firm, determined mind. So the mind is aimed, look at the sentient being, then aimed, free all sentient being, okay? And wanted them and to be happy and to be completely free from the suffering and causes of suffering. And then that aspiration, that strong, determined mind, altruistic intention is the first aspect of, or the unique feature or aspiration of bodhicitta, or the completely perfect, full, enlightened mind or awakening mind. Then, like we discussed before, so you had this strong aspiration, altruism, and but then you realize that based upon who you are now and your own individual capacity and the qualities or the skills and the knowledge which you possessing now, you cannot reach the goal, your own goal, that is, you want to free all sentient beings from the suffering. You cannot. So upon realize this is the case, then you then you turn to the aim, turn your attention to the perfect enlightenment, the state of enlightenment, the Buddhahood, the Buddha. Okay? Then you take a Buddha, the enlightened being, perfectly enlightened one, Buddha, as a Buddhahood or Buddha state of enlightenment as your goal, and to then you decide to achieve that goal. Okay? So now you look upon the Buddha as your mentor and your highest the goal of spiritual attainment, right? In other words, you take it as the highest purpose and for your spiritual practice, and based upon your understanding of you want to free all sentient beings by attending the Buddhahood. Right? So this is the second aspect or second unique feature of the bodhicitta. Right? So first bodhicitta is in a way we call technically called a conventional awakening mind or bodhicitta. So here, conventional bodhicitta is that you respect whatever you see, okay, and you acknowledge. So whatever appears to you and at the sense level, right, and the thing and the event and the reality, whatever you called, your experiential, right? The things are you understand, you experiencing, and through your senses. So now, from your sense point of view, or the knowledges you gained through the sense faculties of your senses, and then you know that all this appearance are there, and the sentient beings are suffering, so there is a causes of suffering. And then you determined to free whatever you see and with your senses and through your direct sort of sense through the direct contact with the object and with your senses. So you generated a strong altruism, the completely perfected full enlightenment or the awakening mind, because you see the sentient beings are suffering. So this is a conventional bodhicitta. Then you turn to the, like we talked about, the Buddhahood. So now you see the only way to achieve your goal, the goal of free all sentient beings from the suffering and cause of suffering, is and to attain the Buddhahood. Right? and to be a Buddha yourself. Okay. So now, so you look at the Buddhahood, right, at the state of enlightenment, and as your highest achievement, or the means, and to free all sentient beings. And at this point, in this aspect of the bodhicitta, and here we call the ultimate bodhicitta technically. So now, when you are engaging the ultimate bodhicitta, that you are, you still respect the whatever the things, events appear on your senses, right, appears to you, and then on the sense level, or as a sense sort of object of your the sense. However, the ultimate bodhicitta is a wisdom, and that understand all this appearance ultimately is elusive, is illusionary, is a diluted appearance. So the things or events appear in your in your mind or appears to you ultimately, and they are not that does not exist the way how they appear, right? So this wisdom aspect of the bodhicitta, or the ultimate bodhicitta, enable you to fully realize that the whatever that appears and or you receive, you understand as with the through the senses, are ultimately is a delusion, right? So by practice the ultimate bodhicitta, the wisdom aspect of it, and the bodhicitta, the awakening mind, so eventually you will be completely able to eliminate this delusive delusion, or the delusive the appearance. So all this dualistic appearance, the subject-object dual reality will be ceased, or will be diminished. And at that point, and you will fully realize that the ultimate reality, or the true nature of all phenomena. So this practice is that the primary your focus is on the Buddha, or the enlightenment, the state of enlightenment. Right? So just like before, at the first level, and so when you practice the conventional bodhicitta, you develop the kindness, love, and compassion, because you understand, you see, right, all sentient beings suffer, and your focus, your primary focus, to develop your love, kindness, compassion is a sentient being, right, and all sentient beings suffering. And then the way you fully realize that the ultimate reality is that you focus on the practice, the ultimate bodhicitta. That is the wisdom which directly realize the ultimate reality.
Oh yeah. That page on the code in the past, and up in a don't human chadona. Meet the Tony also, that one of the Yimushi on the Kangal, on the Yimushot, Mariparva, Maripion, the Dingle Mongo Yonjini, Shaw Conta Conta Narangate, Chimasho Benatan, or the Thompson slowly easy on Narangal or Shigomar, the jungle or the Runga, the Ton of Sunday on the Swat Pass, Chegos on the Runga Shigomar, the Janji thing or do somewhat the Mirwa. Tedi dengan mampu tone mi chike bina tong sabdin mi tende tone ta tende samse dengan pe samjim bangore de tamse dengan tang dana sende chama yigi loshi de tede dewa tang dana san tende ge niwa tang dana sambe samlo khoroina tate ane tada ge upa tangbo chawor te korang ge tangbo samlo na samji ban jando shizene yangdong zobe shizo samje korang tangbo mugil te tede dengan te tone ngis tongaro ta te dengan tone 근데 담치 이게 들리 지금 인문들이 탈소나 소소배 소소랑만 망고 토구가 되는 상황을 보면은 그런 때 설명할 라진가 들리 이문 탈나 삼는데 담치 이문 탈나 타와때 네 지기 인세나 땅네 지어라 네 소송 지고요 네 소소 killin지는 네 지기 인제 네 로종 지가라 마 땅보네 티와지 삼바지 공바지 탐바 탈런 게 탈신 애니 마잖아 법든 지고 여러 마도 전도 참아 이문 타나서 상로 몰음 치고 전에 접트고요 맞다때 몰음 치고 접트면서 가르쳐 때 내가 지고요 때저 지월 셔발라 당보 랑닐라티 지 니와메나 파소 치트고 말도 당보 랑니 그 전에 랑니 때 리터셔 셔발라 랑니 그 셔르페 주 당고 남수고 셔르비 차트 페주 당네 셔르도 용수 조배 니와도 탐지 종네 마르비니도 서소나 랑니 그 기나 마르파도 용 유문기 마르파 서소나 아니 때 잘라 ki niwa pa janla chen janji jimun set kuwa ote nangjin ane otate damba ni se de tangbo te soso simji thamchi yumon ni tana di yumon ji dingal tela mu pe ni yangji tela tengo te yumon ni tana sambe samlo te damba ti chette sine ane ngi gi jangge se ta niwa te ane ngi gi jangbo te mugil te karanga 이 장내 그다 아주나 탈신 받지기 인셈이 삼로 들어와 삼때 너만 이와들 탈신이 점심 가르치기 전 당부 이문 뜻해 치위체 들어와 대차다 등이 하고이나 스탑 지 상치지 셈세야 돼 너만 이들 때 상치 셈께던 상치 셈바세야 되게 삼로 때려서 요 심지 탐지 등을 리타나 마르기 등을 용수도 왔잖아 sab이 등을 통때 때위체 때 그때 가도 벌써 몸을 좀 선지기 있는 sab이 삼로 지그랜드와 셋도 시켜고 요새
maybe the technical terms which we used before, in terms of when we just try to describe the Bodhicitta or the two unique features or of the Bodhicitta, and probably is a bit complicated. So like the conventional and the ultimate Bodhicitta. So now let me give you a very simple example, and then through this example we look at the Bodhicitta and see how the Bodhicitta is all about, or to develop the clear understanding of the Bodhicitta. So essentially, the example what I used to say, and I like to repeat this again here with you, is that suppose that you were born, you or someone who born in a village in a remote area, okay, in a very far away, the countryside and remote area, and so he himself turned to be the one and who realized that in the entire village and everyone is illiteracy. No one in that village who knows how to read and write. And then the people from day to day, they suffer because when there are people who send in a message or send in the letters, anything, documents, anything in the written form, or the documents in written form, and then the people in that village just have no idea, and they just completely can't understand what's going on, what it's all about. So this person who upon see the sufferings of everyone in that village due to their lack of training or education learning, and because of the ignorance, and or clearly here is because of being illiteracy. So he's one, and had a strong idea, a strong aspiration or desire, and or hope, a mind to say, what are pain, what are pain, what are suffering. So I don't want this suffering, and I don't want everyone in this village to continue experience the sufferings caused by being illiteracy. So I am going to go out and reach the scholars, literati, the learned masters, and wanted to learn how to read and how to writing myself. And then I will come back and teach each single villagers and in this area, and make themselves be able to read writing, and just like I can do. So this person's first, based on his understanding, his observation, and his realization of the sufferings and the causes of the suffering that the villagers are enduring, experiencing, is can be resembled like the conventional bodhicitta, or conventional the awakening mind. That is the aspiration, and aspiration that wanted to free all sentient beings from the suffering. So then, just like that person who had that thoughts, strong and determined mind, want to free all the villagers from illiteracy, and then he left the home and or find a scholar and follow the learned masters, and the trained began his own training, his own perfections in writing, reading, and so similarly, the bodhicitta, or the person who generates the bodhicitta, become bodhisattva, is the one now upon see that in order to free, just like this scholar from village, a person from the village, he realized that his desire, or his aspiration, free all beings, and just have the remain as a prayer, remain as a good wish, and help somebody else come in and fix that problem. And he did not do that way. Rather, he determined himself to be the person and go out and get himself be trained, and then and return and serve all the villagers and with his knowledge. So similarly, that the person who engaged in the ultimate bodhicitta is just like the one who take actual action, right? And upon to have this strong desire, strong aspiration, and then he go out, he begin the process of learning, and the process of the learning, and to be a scholar himself. So in this particular context, that what it is, the practitioners of the bodhicitta is what he is doing, that he or she is being driven by the bodhicitta, the strong aspiration, and the aspiration of want to free all sentient beings. Now he takes actual action himself and dedicated himself to the realization, the process of wisdom, the process of the realization. And so his way to train himself is that he began to take all the necessary steps, and go through the procedures, and the training himself, and towards the perfect complete realization and of ultimate reality, and then they developed all the skills and then that is necessary to attain the Buddhahood or become Buddha himself. So just like the way the simple case and the villager who left the home, right, and went to the school or find the learned master, and then go through each step, right, and took all the trainings and then become a scholar. So similarly here, when we talk about or thinking about the two aspirations of bodhicitta, and then we know the first bodhicitta, first aspect of bodhicitta is conventional and bodhicitta. That is, you aimed, and you observing, you are observing, you acknowledging, and you look upon, you look at the sentient being and their suffering, and then you determined to free all of them from the suffering. So that's the conventional bodhicitta, resembled like the person who wanted to free all the villagers from the illiteracy, problems of the illiteracy. And then you go on and take attend a school and train yourself to be a scholar, and then it becomes a scholar yourself. Similarly, so the person who determined to free all sentient beings now is a turn to take an actual action. The action is go through the trainings of the wisdom, and by perfected the practice of the wisdom, then he fully realized the ultimate reality and perfected all the skills that is a skillful means, and made himself become the Buddha, and then had all the capacities, all the powers and qualities and skills and to serve others.
코 점바네 코랑라 지 링코요 아지 강리요 대강바 대태와 셀럽 탑시도 동네 근글링 전데 같이 버렸지 이와 냠버머 와지 콜라네 미티기 파쪽도 샘부 버셔 발라 콜라 같이 냠보셨네 고동 탐동 탐바지네 코랑 강고와 띠지 골마 점보고는 찌든지요 말았지 띠용 말았지 아니 코 점바당 냠버머 와티 니 콜라 아니 돈 줘봐 돈 탐바지네 돈 줘봐서야 대동 때 고비 강 접고한테 소소고 사바남 터진 소소 선반 남 터진 접었대 틈마 줘봐 소소 지야들 돈 틈바서야 대동 이동 농바 강동 대동 강서 대동 감다 미와동 틈비고니 샤와시고 그랬지 아니 그런 좀 노바 메와지 지고는 지투고 말때 자다 베나처럼 자기 동습지라 이기 랍게나 당고 동습텔에 손으로 판다 지금 그런 좀 미기 정말 이론지네 그런 좀 같이 냠보도 그래서 나와서 도와도 강요와 대신에 수 some sem로서 그네 수 이치로 강을 레원서 때네 데도 좀지나 요고요 주요럽게 아니 법든데 호종제들이 때 그런서 될때 호종제 넘바도 용서 때네 돈도 텀바드네 또 좁아지 저와도 또 돈도 텀바고네 내가 좋아해나 자정 적용 거라 어다 연두시 발라 당고 안에 디윙오 지용도 그랬어 다 티강라 바로 드신 바트그지 semji tondo jendun shepa jenji miwa ta kamtong miwa pe ram na zo za jendu shiju lelo yo maro ngazo na michi ko samu ta thambi go ni chi go na kale hodo wa te thambo chi semji thamji na kale ho shira te chada semji thamji ton shepa la jibi pharo to shimba so so go ji ling go yesu nong chok thamje ne pha ji tang thwa to go re ande jimba tang thwa chi jimba ta song jiba manji jimba jiba tang thwa 때 전에 조바 검토 거랬어. 조바 강나지나 강을 가르쳐나 소소고 파송네. 강에나 텔 조금지 거랬어. 콘토말랑 람스 콘토말랑 조금세도 콘토치고 말. 제동 강을 로가 더 가쳐요나 리슨고 강을 간다. 텔 조트 받아 조숨지 거랬어. 조바. 아니 치tum 송 거랬어. 치tum 전에도 코소소 롱 강나 텔 춤당 거 소소랑니 그 당고 송지네. 아니 잘나파. 셰 거랬어. 근데 여보지나 소소랑이 그 춤송이 잘라 춤던 걸 맞도 소소 춤마송은 잘라신 닝거 말고 어디서 공고 링거 있은 거 쇼바 넘 거를 춤세야 돼 답변은 막이지 봉스로 있는 링거 있은 소소 링거 쇼바 넘지는 되잖아 그 송고를 소소랑이 이 맞죠 다 something something so samba tempo chini kanta kong sambati la pem mupa chigoro tongda ko sabi yitte tongbo tongbo sheba tongbo sherb ki paro chiba sherb ki mupa tambo chini il kanta kong goa te tongda ha ko ko wores te jang go wores jang wi don te ha ko te la pe il ta chik te ni samba tempo chini os samba tempo chini ni to wores ra te chena ane jamba chtum zopa something sherb ta tangin chibi sar 존지 좀 존지 저 제가 좋아하다 뭐 임벌 내가 간다 거지나 좋아 뭐고요. 대 정말 청송이나 아니 연기 도시에 봐라 아니 연락 탐지 청송 아니 연두시에나 고 말완도 강리용 거 말했어. 때마도 미치기 쇼지지네 바 담바로 지긴 손에 파쇼득이 공로로 지롱잖아. 대배 30kg 차네 다 용사 말이에요. 다 대배 망고 용거 30 성지 30kg 성지 냠 예로 망고요. 대사 안에 또 참만 공로도 참 청고를 뜻이 거지. 이제도 집에 양으로 참만 청고를.
Okay. So yes, once you understand what constitutes the Bodhicitta, what is the Bodhicitta? The contents, right? The essence of the Bodhicitta, and by understanding those two aspects of the remarkable spiritual and enlightened mind. So now, when you take the actual action, so you needed to know what to do. Right? How to achieve your goal, right? The goal is to attain Buddhahood for the benefits of all sentient beings. So the means or the technique which you're going to adopt or you're going to use to achieve your goal that's been driven by the two aspirations, right? Aspirations of want to free all sentient beings, and then in order to achieve that goal, want to be Buddha yourself, is that you have to begin your practice by following, and here in this context, in this text says, by adopting or by implementing the 4 ways of assembling disciples. And the next is by practice the 6 great perfections or transcending perfections. So the 4 ways of assembling disciple is that being generous, right? Giving is here means being generous, generosity. And then the second is speaking pleasantly, or speaking kindly, kind words, speaking kindly. And then the giving appropriate teaching. And the third one is giving appropriate teaching. And the fourth one is keeping consistency between the words and action. Okay? So being generous, speaking kindly, and giving appropriate teaching, and keep consistency between what you say and what you do. So those are the 4 techniques. 4 techniques after you generate bodhicitta, right? Meaning after you determined that you wanted and free all sentient beings for the sake of you want to attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. So your practice is that you need to engage in the 4 ways of amazing disciples. And being generous, we know in general, it's a very effective and useful and practical way to help out others, right? And so then speaking kindly or pleasantly or gently is another way, and to benefit others and help out others. Um, so then you give in the appropriate teaching, the advice, um, and help others to move on and progress and to make a progression and towards their own spiritual realization. And so by giving them appropriate teaching and help them, that is the third practice you need to engage in. And then the final one is the keeping consistency, right, between the words that you taught, right, or you learned from the Dharma, the scripture, and then you acting upon, you implementing what exactly you learned. Right? So this is the four techniques that any bodhisattva or the one who generated bodhicitta, the altruistic intention needed to implementing, you need to practice. And then on the top of that, well, in addition to that, there's some kind of overlapping there, but another set of technique is called the six Parjana Paramita, right? Or six great perfections of wisdom. The sixth great perfection of wisdom is generosity again. So generosity here is giving, and being generous, giving. Giving what? You giving like materialistically, you giving the wealth, or goods, anything in the material form, such as money, right? Or any form of wealth, and to help others free them from the sufferings caused by the lack of adequate material supply or material goods. So this is the first the practice of generosity or giving. So you give in the material wealth, and then you practice the generosity, and so giving them protection, right? Freed sentient beings from suffering, right? And so, and then you give them a teaching. So that's also generosity. You teach the knowledge, you teach the wisdom, and teach whatever is beneficial, benefits and beneficial, something that's knowledge which is practical and benefits beneficial. So this is acts of or contents of the first six great perfection of wisdom, generosity or giving. Then you at the same time you also need to practice the ethics or morality. Moral ethics in this context is that you need to follow the moral ethical code, right? That's been that's been sort of established either by in the spiritual community and or by the enlightened one, and or in also at the same time it's like the country's constitution, right? So follow the rules and respect the ethics and so to try to build up, establish a harmonious community, and forming a very coherent and the peaceful harmonize the society by follow the laws and rules and the spiritual the precepts or the vows. So that's the morality, the second practice of the great perfections. And the third one is the patience or tolerance. Patience or tolerance is that when you are so by the way, that generosity also is that you provide a service with your body, right? And you express your concerns or give encourage others and verbally and also in mentally you think of prayer for. All these are as part of the generosity. And then the tolerance is that so you tolerant and you've been open-minded when you are encountering the difficult situation and when you've been challenged by the obstacles or you feel very frustrated, right? So tolerance here is that whenever you feel being challenged, being sort of frustrated, and then you restrain from the hostile mind, okay, and you restrain from any aggression, and you hold your mind, right, and hold your tongue, and then remain calm physically and not acting or reacting because you feel pain, because you feel frustrated, you feel disappointed, angry, or unhappy, but rather you stay calm, right? And the whole your mind and your the destructive emotions and your negative mind not let sort of overpower you and control you. So that is the essence of the tolerance or patience. And again, it's like a moral ethic. In the we know that everyone has to follow the moral ethic. And like the president of the country or the state, he or she has to follow the rules. If he or she has disobey the rules and policies, right, and he or she cannot convince the citizens and to do the same. So similarly here, so when you think about the moral ethics, you need to think about the set of rules and you apply, you compile to it, complying to it, and complying with the set of rules, and so which if that's regarding how you bodily and acting or responding, so you needed bodily and follow that rules and accordingly. If the rules and have been established or been constitute with respect to the verbal expressions, and you do need compile with that set of the rule and then express yourself according verbally according to that set of rule. Similarly, like the mind at the mental level in the mind, and if there's sort of moral precepts or moral the standards or the rules, if that concerned about the mind and a mental activity, and then you do need follow or take it and that sets of rules and maintain your mental activities. So that's the the how to practice the moral ethics and as a part of the 6 great perfections of wisdom. And then now next is joyful perseverance. Joyful perseverance is a sense of a zealness. So you feel energetic and you are so inspired. You feel excited about it, and you want to achieve it, and so you are fully and engaging. You take it with a great aspiration and very joyfully and voluntarily, and so very confident with a great confidence. So that's the joyful perseverance. Um, so here in this context, joyful is perseverance. That perseverance or practice of the joyful perseverance is that you see how meaningful, how great, and to attain the Buddhahood. Because you can Buddhahood means the power, right? Skillful means and the perfection of the wisdom and so on and so forth, all the qualities. So you've been so moved and so inspired, and then you feel so happy about it, and you're so positive and confident. So then you dedicate yourself to the Buddha and the Dharma practice. So this is joyful perseverance. And then, and you know that the wisdom is ultimately in Buddhism, perfect realization or the enlightenment is that you need to realize that the ultimate, what is the ultimate reality, what is the true nature of the phenomena, and so therefore you need to ultimately you need to develop the direct realization, the wisdom that understands the ultimate reality. So the way to achieve this is that you need to develop the state of mind, the calm abiding, and the state of mind which can enable you to clearly and to see the actuality of all the phenomena. So therefore, you need to practice the 5th great perfection of wisdom, that is meditation, right? Train yourself how to stabilize your mind and how to deepening your clarity, and then eventually to reach the union of a great calm abiding and with perfect wisdom. And then, so finally, and you reach the state of you practice the wisdom, and then that the wisdom is the realization that clearly and directly see the true nature of everything. So this is how the bodhicitta and a true aspect of bodhicitta is. So we needed to understand that just like the person who left the village and wanted to be a scholar himself, and then he upon become a scholar and he returned to the village, and so and the way he again he will do this exactly the same thing like taught here by the in this text, like he will follow the techniques of 4 ways of amazing disciple, meaning so he, even though he is a great scholar, but he has to teach the villagers and those illiteracy and people and who been illiteracy and skillfully according to his or her and the interest and their background and then their the availabilities and so personalities. You have to do that, and because you cannot really force someone to and do the things unless someone who is find that see the quality and find that is really something that has great value. And similarly, just like the person and who's not only he wanted to and teach, right? But he wanted to give his knowledge, so he wanted to share, being generous with his knowledge. But he has to speak very pleasantly and kindly to the villagers and try to let them and form a a very good and harmonious, close relationship with them, make them feel very pleased to be with him, or come to him and seeking for advice or take the lessons. So, and that person and the teacher who returned to the village, he would practice second the 4 ways of amazing, that's speaking pleasantly or kindly. And so Bodhisattva, and on his way to attain enlightenment, he would also and do exactly the same thing, and that I forgot. Each individual's unique background and interest and the predispositions, and then he would teach, share the knowledge, like the levels of knowledge, levels based upon the person's capacity or learning ability, who would teach them accordingly. Similarly, here, and the one person who generated the bodhicitta, and when he or she practiced the third one, like given appropriate teaching, he or she also would first examine the individual person's levels of capacity, levels of understanding, and the interest, and then would teach them accordingly. They give the appropriate lesson that is suitable, that's appropriate to him or her, the levels of understanding. And lastly, and as a teacher who returned to the village, he himself not only can just teach the knowledge, but he or she has to set up example, be the mentor of the learners from that village, meaning that he would say and teach, and he would exactly practice what he teaches, and so that will fulfill the requirements of the 4 ways of amazing the disciples. And similarly, so this Bodhisattva and his way of practice 6 great perfection of wisdom would be exactly the same. He will try to be generous and by giving or share whatever he or she has materially. With his whatever he or she possess, and then he would move on and compile with to follow the rules and the laws and the spiritual discipline. And then he himself, he or she would practice patience, and because patience absolutely needed when you be engaged in such altruistic action, right, and try to benefit all sentient beings or try to help someone. It's not necessarily always people are appreciative, people accept and say thank you all the time. Sometimes they do the opposite, and instead of appreciate, and they will give you a hard time and dishonor your noble intention and action. And so at that point, whoever and for whatever reason is being mean and being very difficult, and so you need to apply practice the tolerance and the patience, and even you feel inside has been challenged and frustrated, but you remain calm and not responded with anger, with your frustrations. So, and then as a teacher and a bodhisattva, he or she has to really do this with a great consistency, meaning he or she will constantly, continuously, and with a great zeal and into pursuing his or her goal, and with a great confidence and determination and with a great joy. And then he or she would practice meditation, meaning that trained himself, herself is always in the calm, being calm and stable and very peaceful. And then he or she also will practice the wisdom and the meditation, and then being a very sort of a sharp and intuitive and very skillful and very wise. So this way, and the Bodhisattva. This is how the Bodhisattva, upon to generate their altruistic intention to free all sentient beings from suffering, and that's the conventional Bodhicitta. Then how he or she is executed or implementing this great intention by following the 4 ways of assembling amazing disciples and the 6 great perfections of wisdom. Yes, so we have to be careful, and so otherwise in the history, there are people who generate the Bodhicitta, but because he or she doesn't was not very careful with those closely practice this 4 ways of amazing the disciple and the 6 great perfections of wisdom, and his or her Bodhicitta could be declined. So therefore, and this is how we by apply and the 4 ways of amazing disciple and the 6 great perfect wisdom, and then one can successfully achieve the Buddhahood.
Di tono garda ti oksham de kana mukisim jintana da ton de tenin de sanji ni de jiro changshang sa bi tsi ta sa da ti pargo tono gar shi gu chi tang ane janna tiwa ji gu janna pantu ji gu si da yim tsin jam mar janna ten ji wa da rang la ten bi yo bi pansu so wa tam ji janna ten yong wa yim ba yim tsin ni gu shi gu tang bo de gar su ji de sham dang hang ji la so ba ane paro de sham ba ji la so nyam ne ji sa te 가을에는 semchilati jwa delate de rang over over sanji ji kompong topi niwate semchilati jwa niwate patle yum chabar jigpersepi yeteng mauna semchi chagdo densa ane semchin sede ka chembore densa semchorong le jambi semchi tongjo mukke semchi tana rangla semchi jana tayong so tong semchi jen tongjo natanya la teni dazeta no data thamji tangi paro shimbatri nyamne jisaga yilin samchine 바로 좀 버틀라 일 냠점네 냠스죠 나한테네 아니 성진이도 저러시 내가 때네 냠는 짓은 아 산지 공부 톱톱 그래서네 어떤지 당상 세비지 세비 땅네 가와 좀 지우고네 샤비치기 다드네 너 때자 심지 탐질라 대화 당다나 섬등을 따다나 섬비 삼루 거니 그 따나다 용화지데 임춘때 가서 심지 소소 언니라 같은 집을 판도와 베나다 베렘비션다 게인나레 춤수바이나레네 만바이나 탐적 아니 그런도 조직 시행이 알지요 말 그런저 탐적 sem질라 되는 정도 그런 것 당고 연든 종사대 개인직라 되는 소소라 전직라 되는 수질이 연든 조라리 소소 마오는 그 연든 배조 동사대 소소 감돈 대당 때문에 변화 춤수바이나 그때 예진 요미게 가시야 될 만바이나 나빠데 개나 유문도 조직이 세트조다 어떤 탐적 그런 거 늦어지 그런 개인도 한바들 춤수바도 멍 독사대 semchinchi jambaji to shebe yo ti jimsin tele de tor tela teni su centa yanto nordong nongsul tela tin chungor te jada te thamchigo semji thamchi korongdo mambaji na semji napa thor di napa de thamchi ngala kyap chu yongare de nali thargo gore de te tela hyangji da shamba kan lone samlu tong lega chena ko ta ton ton thambachi dor kanjina ngi ta topi mambaji ta de konin de janla teninga jangni thobare ngita da khronla teninga mambasi mang jiung chanya to norlo somadele jonglo chupsobaina tede china ani ta yor to man ngazo mi kachi te majne ani soso thobsa sona de nga pe rang kya wa cha changji rangzi ba din sa le ngargi chini be ya bala thongchongchi nyapchi che o tede chi ani ta yonggo ma ta ani banjur khorong chete ani phashok so tang de samlo chiga ma tang de tang sa chi chonang la de gi samnyang ji phong yong so Jamping the same point or Suta, Lorama, or Tensata, or Dornina, Chojuchemo, the Gong with the Jeshitama Teresa. Get on the Tota or some Simjin, so Soronila Kardinchimo, but the Tranchini, something to Siguris, the star. Oh, yeah, turn to the church.
Oh, yeah. So in the middle of page 53, you can see that in a guide to the Bodhisattva's way says, whenever I turn my gaze upon a sentient being, thinking I shall fully awaken through depending upon these beings. I shall look at her with open-hearted love. So, this is what basically it says everything, and regarding the understanding of bodhicitta. So the bodhicitta is essentially being driven by the understanding and aspiration or desire. It want to help others, and so fundamentally this idea is derived from the kindness and compassion. And so we say that the bodhicitta is the altruistic intention or altruism, is all about help others, having love and compassion and kindness for others. We say this not just because it's morally sound good, or you want to feel that you are someone who has this sort of occupied the higher and moral and ground. Indeed, you want to be do anything or everything and for the benefits of others. It has a strong reason. It has a logical and a logic behind of it. So the reason is essentially has like in this text and talked about. So you know that whatever you have to so you start in any qualities or qualifications and status positions, anything you're able to achieve, that's because of others or because depending upon, right, the all sentient being. So it's just like the all sentient being is the basis of your conduct, is the sources of your awakening mind. That's at the first, right? And then when you began to your bodhisattva's action, so see sentient beings, because of the sentient being has played such a significant role, right? Because of them, and then you had this determination and the determined mind and awakening mind, this altruistic intention, and then in the middle, right? So you dedicate to yourself to the practice of the 4 ways of amazing disciple and 6 great perfection of wisdom. Again, so yeah, because you have this base, a sentient being, as the base of your practice, right? And then they've been still serving as the source of your the conduct, and they still serve as the reason and for you to continue and to perfect your practice. And finally, you attain Buddhahood. Even upon you achieve the Buddhahood, right? The continue of your the enlightened activity, enlightened deeds is because of because of the sentient being, right? Just like in text says, even after the highest attainment of the complete awakening, the practice of enlightened activity, which comes about in an unbroken stream arises independence upon the sentient being. So sentient beings, clearly, you have the reason is that they are very important at the beginning, and they're very important in the middle, and they've been important. They are important in the end, right? So you see all this, right? And because of you have this understanding, and you see sentient beings suffer, and you want them and to be happy, and so then you determined to achieve the Buddhahood, right? I give you an example again to simplify this practice of understanding. Is that in general in our society, there are particular sets of occupation, and people regard highly. For example, like the teachers, and the profession such as teacher and lawyer and doctors. Right? And generally, so we consider teachers are respectable, and we also think that the lawyers are a good profession, and the doctors are someone who is very important. But as a teacher, and if you take this from the Bodhisattva's practice point of view, so as a teacher, you need no reason. You have no reason and to be proud, and to be sort of arrogant. And I think that your teacher is that everything is because of you, and you accomplish it just because of your own ability, based upon your own ability, and you accomplished this by your own. No, that's completely wrong, because you become a teacher is because there's a need, okay, and because other people the needs, right? Other people's suffering, and of the lack of education or knowledge, right? And their suffering is the reason, and is the reason in that you can pursue in this uh, this position, and then upon and achieve the your goal of being a teacher. Again, you've been a teacher, and can run can maintain this business is because of the demands and the needs of others who seeking for the knowledge, right? Or the skills. So therefore, without others, right? You as teacher, and I cannot be a teacher, and you are a teacher is all because of other. And then the lawyer, and the lawyer again, without all those cases and people, and you first of all, you cannot really have no reason to train yourself to be the lawyer. Even you did it and had it and lessons, but without others, or without depend upon others, then you cannot do anything, achieve anything. So, and the doctor, we know that is a very critical and important job, a position. And the doctors who they become a doctor and famous, and gained a substantial sort of amount of wealth, right? And having good materialistically having a good life, and so on and so forth. We know all this happened to a doctor's life is because of patients, because those sick person, and who's seeking for the protections, and who are in greater pain, and who need help. So therefore, see, without depend on the patients and the physicians or doctors, and they cannot be what they want to be. So therefore, and in any case that whichever the professions you are, or you're choosing, and you're performing the job you're performing, we have to remember that all we did, or we can do, and that we can achieve is because of others. And now, no, there's no single thing and solely because we are as an individual person without depending upon anyone else. So therefore, and we must be careful, and as a teacher, we cannot get ignored and angry and with our students. And as a lawyer, again, we cannot be arrogant. But rather, we are dependent on others, right? We need to serve others. And the doctor similarly, so they come in, each patient come to you, they look at you as some kind of protector, some kind of a person who can save their life or freedom from pain. So therefore, and the doctors has to be altruistic, either doctor or the lawyer. But not being arrogant and not being sort of self take so much pride. I think we did everything by ourselves. So this is a very important point. I would like to mention. Yeah, that's all for today's discussion, and thank you for your attention and your participation.
Lo me ma re ge don ro nam zhi ya wei wang bo da zhi de ma shi song wei ce zhe gong de jiang bie yang jie zhe wei jie song dang bie ren ba gong zang ma jie nie ne zhe wei ya na nie xie rang ye zhe zhen do bei lang jie xue zha zhe zhang wei tang gui zhou wei ye jie men ba san xi ya wei dang ba ye rang zhen ba ren chen zhou ge ma jiu cha jiang yang ber zhi wei shou de yang jie xian bo ye ren zhuo ba pan de de sa wen shi ber shou se ji ya wei ma xiong zhen lei la ru shang qiu lang jie ren bie tan do lang jie ye la hua zhi shang ya wen zha ba rang de zhong jie lang zang zhi bei ten jian zhi xi chang ge jian se Nam da lam da delver ma Te ta ba cho la che cho ce ren de la zo ba de yi te de nam je ta le zhou shi zha shi yang zu shou gen zhao li这位喇嘛仁波切的和宁德尔巴米当时那个人全部婚礼之中的不送的这啥子说上至神州仁波切马蹄王的姐姐这个叫啊娘巴没不是我那公的陪我说刚是这位国位上峰的班当的话马林中位像这种等着讲座也是被身体不的等着了钱，家不把握觉得钱包当工作上我这样的人，得到根据就是道路上别忘的到他们知道的我的什么消费要我他们接近我看了就的我把。早晚的跟家中我就是了的我而且本地中的担保的上级等着给我同志跟你只能跟那点金融的那上级担保到的一点这个在这跟的要我中高为当初是能给生的比因为我别那种的你来个这个这样都不是嘛就是这个甚至哪怕这你把你的能力他这个进入于那的嘛到的生活没不是说看着嘛能特当担保当看着生活老说把像这生当但就是这个就完的你的嘛这生活的这像嘛的话的啥嘛过不是说那有个